Jody and her husband for opening their home to us. This has really been a wonderful celebration of Ray's life. I want to say that I am genuinely bummed now after hearing the email that Vicki read from that mother of the child with meningitis, because I really want to ask Ray, what were those questions? And what were the maneuvers that you had that mom do? Because that would be wonderful. He taught me so many things, but if you taught me that, Ray, I forgot. I'm sorry. I had the incredible privilege of joining Ray and Mickey in practice when I finished my pediatric training. Ray bribed me with a quarter, and I came. And I knew I was very fortunate when they invited me to join them. I didn't know how fortunate until I had spent some time there. Have you ever met a person who just exudes kindness? A person who, after just spending a few minutes with him, you know that he's competent and compassionate, and you know that he truly cares about you. A person that you just knew you could trust with your most precious hopes and dreams. That is your children. So you all are nodding your heads because you knew Ray. You met that person, you knew him, and you loved that person. What was it about Ray that just his presence would find that harmonic frequency in your brain, your heart, that vibrated with confidence and comfort before you could even make that perception conscious or verbal? You just knew you were in good hands. You knew this was a genuinely very knowledgeable, very kind, and very caring man. That was Ray. Ray was my children's doctor. Why? Because he was the best, and because I had connections. Many years ago, on a spring afternoon, a Tuesday afternoon in April, my 8-year-old daughter, Hadley, and her mom were visiting Ray in the office. He was evaluating Hadley because she had had 11 days of fever. And during that visit, Dr. True Hayes from Children's called Ray to tell him that she had just looked at Hadley's blood smear and that Hadley had leukemia. So Ray put Hadley and Ann in his car, drove them home to our house, and he was waiting there for him when I got home from Children's. Now, Ray couldn't cure Hadley's leukemia. That was left to the oncologists at Children's Hospital, who fortunately were stunningly successful. But Ray could comfort us with his presence. He could help us keep a hopeful outlook, and he could assure us silently that he would be there, that he would walk with us on that journey. On another occasion, some years before that, it was a winter evening just after Christmas, and I called Ray at about 9:30 to tell him that my 10-week-old son had the worst cough I had ever heard. And I didn't expect Ray to see Philip. I just wanted to talk to him. But he insisted. He said, if you're worried, then I want to see him. So he met us in the emergency department at Children's. He evaluated Phil. He said, he's got respiratory syncytial virus, and he's going to be fine. Now, of course Ray wanted to see Philip. That makes sense. He was Phil's doctor. He wanted to evaluate him. He wanted to care for him. But I realize now, in the hindsight of many years, that Ray also wanted to see me. Because he wanted to care for me. That was Ray. Ray taught me so many things, and I will mention just two. The first was a very practical, hands-on lesson. Ray taught me how to put chains on the tires of my car. It was Thanksgiving blizzard of 1983. We got 21 inches. My Rabbit wasn't going anywhere without some modification. And Ray took me and showed me how to buy chains. You know, I'm a New York City boy. And then he was very proud to show me how you put chains on without having to lay them out and drive the car on them. So, and of course, because Ray is Ray, he's lying in the snow, and I'm down there with him, and he's showing me how you reach around the tire and how you hook the chains. That was Ray. But another lesson that I learned from Ray was much more important, and he taught me this lesson without saying a word. I learned by observing the master the importance of staying with the patient and with the family. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, doctors want to be in control. That's no surprise, right? We like to see ourselves sometimes as the high priests of life and death. We want to cure a disease and repair injury and alleviate suffering. And often we can, sometimes dramatically. But I've observed that too many doctors have a tendency to distance themselves from the patient. When the outcome is in doubt, when the right course is ambiguous, when we can't demonstrate our diagnostic brilliance and our therapeutic power. And I observed that Ray didn't do that. So that was the most valuable clinical lesson of medicine that I believe that I learned from Dr. Ray Rademacher. And I'm trying, Ray. I'm still trying. Ray, you were such a shining example to us all. You taught us to be better parents. You taught us to be better doctors. You loved our children deeply. May we all resolve in his memory to redouble our efforts to learn the lessons that he taught us. And may we say of you, Ray, what Juliet said of Romeo. When he shall die, take and cut him in little stars, and he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to the garish sun. In the evening sometimes, Ray, when I leave the office after trying to apply the lessons that I learned from you, sometimes I look to the heavens and I can feel your presence among those shining stars. And if I close my eyes, I can see the arms of God wrapped around you, and I can hear his voice say, as surely he has said to you already, well done, my good and faithful servant. If Ray were here today, I would say to him, as would you, what can I do for you, Ray? Because we would be thinking of the many, many kind and generous things that he had done for our children and for us. And I ask your indulgence just for a minute when I tell you now that there is something very important and tangible that you can do for Ray right now. Ray is not here to care for Jackie, his wife of 59 years. So we have to be Ray's voice, his arms, his heart. And if you have any inclination to make a gift in Ray's memory, I would urge you to make a generous donation to the Dr. Ray Rademacher Memorial Trust. As you heard earlier, this trust was established at Ray's direction. Its purpose is to provide compassionate care for Jackie and a safe place for her to live. She has made this transition from their home of many, many years to assisted living. And I can't think of a more fitting way of honoring a lifetime of giving than for us to help to care for Jackie and to know that someday when God calls Jackie to join Ray, that any residuum in the trust will be given to the Kemp Foundation. Now, some of you here knew Henry Kemp, and many others know of his reputation as another giant of pediatrics, pediatric infectious disease, later in identifying and articulating child abuse. And I'll just leave you with one question. How often do you get to honor two giants at the same time? Thank you.